crypto is about to become very, very scary. The co-founder and creator of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, is working on something that can potentially change the world, to the point where you can say goodbye to any ounce of privacy you may have, or it can be used for good. Who knows? With the internet, privacy has gone down tremendously. With the rise of the consumption of the internet, the lower the privacy people have. Even though some people do a good job at staying offline, at the end of the day, in order to compete nowadays, whether it's in business, whether it's in your career, you need some sort of online presence, otherwise competition will eat you alive. And now imagine all that and add a layer on top of it, which is the blockchain. And nowadays you can actually somewhat fake it till you make it, but not with SBTs. SBT or soul-bound tokens are non-transferable, non-financialized tokens tied to your unique profile and shows your credentials. It's just like an NFT, but you can't sell it or get rid of it, which really freaks me out. Think of it as a resume on the blockchain. Now let's say you attend Harvard University, and then once you graduate, they issue you a token which they send to your wallet, which you cannot get rid of, which shows that you actually attended and graduated from Harvard University. Which then, once your employer wants to look into you, they can find on your account an SBT that says that you attended Harvard University. Versus nowadays, you can just tell them that you went to Harvard and put it on your LinkedIn and you're golden. Now, no matter what your opinion is on NFTs or SBTs for that matter, which are just non-transferable NFTs, if you really think about it, it's no secret that it can be the next wave when it comes to crypto. But there's a really, really big issue when it comes to that. When I first heard of SBTs, the first thing that came to mind is goodbye privacy. Another thing that came to mind is, how will this work? Will everything about me be on one certain account? For example, my health records, my resume, my job description, my credit score, all that. Will all these be compiled into one place where if I want to go to an employer, will they be able to find my previous health record or my health history? But I learned that what they're doing is you can have multiple accounts. For example, you can have 3 souls, soul A, soul B, and soul C. Soul A can be encrypted with your health records, so only your doctors or healthcare providers can actually access it, which is great because it showed me that we can possibly encrypt this and not make it public for everyone. Soul B can include any communities you belong to, any social events you attend, just literally anything that is social. Which then brings the question of, do you really want people to know where you go, what communities you belong to? Some people might, but I'm sure some people don't. And Soul C could have your resume, your past experience, whatever it is, whether it's school, work, anything. It's kind of like a LinkedIn profile, but it's on the blockchain, and you really can't change much in that because let's say you work 3 years at this company, they would issue you a token that says that you actually worked in this company in this specific position, which then also doesn't allow you to lie, which can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending how you look at it. For some of you, this sounds awesome, but for others, this may sound really, really creepy. The biggest issue for me is that with soulbound tokens, whatever you do can be put on the blockchain, which means that it's not only on the internet, because everything is on the internet forever, but on the blockchain, it's literally eternal, where no one can erase it, which makes it even worse or better, depending on what the thing is. If it's a positive thing, you probably want it to be on the blockchain forever. But if it's a negative thing, such as being arrested, I'm sure you don't want this to be public for everyone to see. Now, don't get me wrong, it's pretty clear where I stand when it comes to decentralization and the whole blockchain technology. But even for me, this is still somewhat pushing it. Again, people want their positive things to be out there and they're gonna show off and then show it to everyone, but I'm sure they don't want the negative things that happen in their lives show up forever, because this wouldn't allow them to create a new life for themselves, because they would always be labeled as the person who did X or Y. My second concern as a crypto investor and trader is, well, what if you lose your private keys? Is everything you did throughout your life just gone? Is that it? So as I said earlier, once you receive a token, you do not have control over sending it to someone else. Whoever has the power is the person who actually sent the token to you. For example, Harvard sends you a token, they're able to revoke it. This creates an issue, which is, let's say you graduate from Harvard and now you have a token, and a few years down the line, you do something that doesn't align with Harvard's narrative. What happens then? Can they decide to revoke your university degree because they decide to do so because you did something that they deem unreasonable? This again brings us to centralization and giving one entity a lot of power, because if you have a university degree from Harvard and you have it at home, you do have it and no one has control over it, basically. But if you have it as a token, which the issuer can actually control it and revoke it from you, then we have an issue again. But I'm sure further down the line, there will be regulations to fix that. But for the time being, it's going to be the Wild West for a while, just like it is in NFTs and even in crypto. This is probably a 10-year thing before it starts to get regulated. On the other hand, the solution for the private key issue is that your soul will be tied to a set of peers, referees, and authority figures who can unlock your wallet, which then makes it centralized again. But in this case, it's trading centralization for security, just like we do when we use centralized exchanges such as Binance instead of relying on our own security and using a cold storage. With SBTs, just like anything else, there's positives and negatives. No matter where you stand on the spectrum, you really can't deny the fact that there's both. Now, the thought of implementing something like that can be really scary if I'm being honest. Thinking about it really gets me excited, but at the same time, it gets me worried. One side of me is saying that, well, we already have everything public on the internet, such as LinkedIn. Everyone posts their experience, their education, and all that. What's the issue in adding another layer of decentralization on top of it? There's no hurt in that. But another side of me is thinking that this can be really used in a very, very bad way. Even though the people who are creating this, they have a goal of decentralization, this can be really transformed in a way where it can be used as a social credit system, which then can be a disaster. On the other hand, which is the bright side, this will bring so many new people into the crypto space and the Web3 space because it's no longer financialized and it's no longer about just making money and sending money. This now is implementing real-world use cases onto the blockchain. If I had to summarize this whole video in one sentence, it would be that NFTs are used to prove what a person owns, and SBTs are there to prove who a person is and their reputation. The question I would ask myself out of all this is it really necessary? I get having a decentralized economy, having decentralized internet, having decentralized apps, all of these. But is it really necessary to have a decentralized society? At the end of the day, this will take at least a decade before it fans out and properly starts being implemented, because people denied using LinkedIn and having an online profile. Until now, it's an unspoken requirement if you want to find a job. And who's to say soulbound tokens wouldn't be something similar later on?